Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this new video. This time I want to go over a very interesting topic that you should be aware of for your CEH test and also for your career in cybersecurity. And that is that we're going to be talking about cross-site request forgery and cross-site scripting. Now, as you can see here, I am running one of my test sites, one of the many sites that I use for testing purposes. And as you can see, the ZAP scan has detected that I'm missing some cross-site request forgery, anti-cross-site request forgery token, and also I am missing a lot of cybersecurity best practices such as content security policies, right? And what we're doing here, we're testing the applications. When it comes to cybersecurity, it spans over pretty much everything, right? You have the network, the infrastructure aspect of it, then you have the application, and then you have cloud that has its own set of challenges. So in this case, we're going to be talking about the concept of cross-site request forgery and cross-site scripting for you to have an understanding. If you want to get better at it, and I have to be honest with you, when you work in cybersecurity, you have to choose a path. And when you choose your path, you get better at that specific path, but you have to know about the other areas. Even if you don't get that good at it, you have to have a solid understanding of what they are. So if your strength point is, let's say, infrastructure cybersecurity, you have to know application security to one extent, even though you're not the one developing the applications or securing the applications. You have to know about it because that's going to be part of your responsibility. You're going to have to work with the development team to make sure that the applications they put out are secured and they follow best practices. So I just wanted to show you this, and again, like I have created a couple of videos on ZAP, what it is, how to use it, and this is an example. So the information you're going to collect from here, you're going to use that information to improve the security of your organization. And in this case, I'm running another window with Burp Suite. And again, what that is another tool that is going to allow you to verify, findings that you see in ZAP. In this case, I'm running Community Edition, and it's just a limited version of the Pro, meaning that I'm not going to be able to do many things that the Pro allows me to do, like integrations and proofs of concepts, but it's going to provide useful information. But what I want to bring you to is this. Right here, because this is what you have to memorize or pretty much know, again, for your test, and number two, for you to be a better cybersecurity professional. So cross-site scripting is different than cross-site request forgery. And what I try to do, I created a table that is going to describe the main differences between one and the other. When it comes to cross-site scripting, that's going to happen when an attacker is going to inject a malicious script into a website, right? That's going to get executed by all people visiting that specific site. Whereas a cross-site request forgery is when the attacker is going to be able to trick the user by different methods. Perhaps part of it is going to include social engineering, maybe in one way or another, to trick that user into clicking a link or a site, and then the attacker is going to be able to use that session to perform an action that the user didn't know was performing. I don't know if that sounds confusing or not, but let's go over the key points that I highlighted right here. So for cross-site scripting, as you can see here, that's going to take place, or the primary target in this case is the user browser. The reason for that is because that's the browser is the way that the user is going to be interacting with whatever application, and that's what's going to the attack is going to exploit the browser, right? Whereas the cross-site request forgery, the primary target in this case, and I don't like the primary target. Probably I should have put something else right here. I should have put like the primary way that the attack is going to take place or something like that. That's going to be for cross-site request forgery. That's going to take place at the user authentication level. So once the user is authenticated. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, because you have to remember that the goal of cross-site request forgery is to steal the access the user has, so that the attacker can perform other actions. The mechanisms that this is going to take place, and for cross-site scripting, is going to be injecting a malicious code into the site, right? Not at the user computer, into the site. So the attacker is going to inject a malicious code to the site. So anybody who visits that site is going to potentially be vulnerable to that malicious code when they visit the site, right? Whereas for cross-site request forgering, it's going to trick the user into sending an unintended request, right? It's going to do a function that the user didn't mean to do, or it's going to perform a function the user didn't intend to perform. The attack type is going to be user focused. Again, this is going to affect the users. And when we're talking about users, this is what you have to keep in mind. We're talking about the way that users connect. In this case, is through the web browser, right? And it's going to be attacking the users that connect to the application through the web browser. And this is going to be the attack type is going to be service focused, because you're going to exploit a function on the server. The attack vector, as I described, or as I said before, is a malicious script that is injected into the site. Whereas for cross-site request forgery, the attack vector is going to be, where are we, right here, tricking the user into making a request, and most of the time the victim is not going to even know that that's taking place. The requirements for this to be successful, for each attack to be successful, is very simple. The requirement for cross-site scripting is that the web application is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, right? And whereas the for cross-site request forgery, the requirement is that the active user session with a target application, there's an active user session with a target application, and then that's going to be exploited and maximized. If we can say this, for this you need an authenticated user to something, right? That's what you pretty much need. And the application also needs to be vulnerable, of course, to cross-site scripting through different ways. The target for this is going to be other users accessing the site for cross-site scripting, because remember, the site is going to be injected with a malicious script, so other users that connect to that site could potentially be vulnerable to that script that is going to run when they connect to it. Whereas the target in cross-site request forgery is going to be that specific user that is authenticated. That is more of a cross-site request forgery is more of a targeted type of attack, even though you can do a targeted attack when you cast a big net, and then once something falls, you can follow that. But it's not, this is, cross-site request forgery is, let's put it this way, it's kind of a one-to-one, whereas cross-site script is a one-to-many, type of, let's see if it works, type of attacks. How it works, I have said this a couple of times: exploit the website's input handling vulnerabilities. And for the cross-site request forgery, exploit web browser's automatic cookie inclusion. and that's something that could be prevented, of course. And the potential impact of each one is for cross-site script, still cookies, credentials, sessions, data, which is substantial in and of itself. For cross-site request forgery, this is the potential impact, right? It doesn't mean that if an application is vulnerable to cross-site request forgery, that's going to happen. The attack still needs to happen and it needs to be successful, and it all depends on the application that the user is accessing and if the application is vulnerable. But potential attacks and things that are known out there that had happened is fund transfers, password change, sensitive actions. So these are main differences between cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery. For you to have an idea, I know that the concept may be a little bit confusing and obscure, and the reason for that is because all this takes place at the application level, and application security is a different subset of security, right? So if you want to follow this path, hey, listen, it's very lucrative out there. So if you want to follow into it, but just for you to have an idea. So let's wrap it up right here with preventions. And the preventions are going to take place at the application level. And for cross-site scripting, best practice, input validation, and sanitization, you have no idea how many sites are not sanitized out there, right? And they can input code that is not supposed to go, or characters that are not supposed to go into the site. So prevention for that, input validation, sanitization, the use of content security policies, and also encoding the output. And for cross-site request forgery, some of the most common preventions are anti-CSRF tokens or cross-site request forgery tokens, same-site cookies, and validate the HTTP referrer header. And to be honest with you, I'm not that familiar with this one because I am not much into application security, but that's part of my job to look at many different applications and work with the developers team to make sure that this is secure and they're implementing best practice. So whichever security path you are following, always keep in mind that use best practices for security. For the audit aspect of it, use multiple tools. Once you find a potential vulnerability on one tool, verify the vulnerability with other tools, and then work closely with the application team, because to be honest with you, most of the successful attacks that are happening now are not at the infrastructure level anymore. All successful attacks are happening at the application level. So I hope you found this information useful. If you did, all I ask you to do is to click on the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and consider leaving a nice comment in the comment section, because that helps with the YouTube algorithms to promote this video. And also, if you know of anyone who can benefit from this content, either the video or the channel, consider forwarding that information as well. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you on the next video.